Okay, part two of this lesson, we're going to talk about some special right triangles which give you similar triangles. So we have a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle and then a 45, 45, 90. Now remember, all triangles, the angle sum measures 180. So again, we're sticking to right triangles for this unit. So let's look at a 30, 60, 90. And there is a special relationship, and we're going to write this in our notebook, and we're going to write our formulas down. Okay, so one thing I don't know if you're aware of, but the angle corresponds to the side opposite of it. So this is 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. This 30 degrees is the smallest angle. Therefore, this length, this leg here, this is the smallest side of this triangle. 60 degrees is the middle angle measurement. Therefore, the opposite side is the middle length. So x is our smallest length because it's opposite of the smallest angle. This leg here, the square root of 3 times x, it is the middle length because 60 is the middle angle measurement. And then 90 degrees is our largest angle of this triangle. Therefore, this side, our hypotenuse, is the largest length of this triangle. So the relationship between these three sides is we have the smallest length x, and the relationship to the hypotenuse is twice the short leg, or you could say the short leg is half of the hypotenuse, however you want to look at that. Then the relationship of the long length is its length is the measurement of x times the square root of 3. So that's the relationship between these three lengths when you are given a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So you have the long leg, you have the short leg, and you have the hypotenuse. Again, the short leg is opposite the 30 degrees. The long leg is opposite the 60 degrees, and your hypotenuse, as we already know, is opposite of the 90 degrees. So there are some patterns that formulate here, and we're going to use these pattern formulas to help find missing lengths of right triangles. So short leg equals 1/2 the hypotenuse. Long leg is half the hypotenuse times the square root of 3. Or you could look at the long leg as simply the short leg, if you know the short leg, times the square root of 3. So I would keep these formulas in front of me when I'm working with these. I don't expect you to memorize them, but just have them available. And when you see a 30, 60, 90 triangle, you're like, oh, I can simply find missing lengths by using these pattern formulas. Then we have a 45, 45, 90 special triangle. And obviously, this 45 degree corresponds to this x, and this 45 corresponds to this length x. So this is when we're dealing with an isosceles triangle where we have two sides that are exactly the same. So the relationship to the legs, so we don't really have a short leg and long leg because they're congruent. And so the relationship between the legs and the hypotenuse is whatever the length of the leg is, if you multiply it by the square root of 2, that will give you the hypotenuse. So again, here we have two formulas. To find your hypotenuse, you take your leg length and multiply it by the square root of 2. Or if you're trying to find the leg, you simply take half of the hypotenuse and multiply it by the square root of 2. So let's look at some examples. So we have a 30, 60, 90. Let's identify, we're going to find x and y. So x is going to be our short leg, and y is our long leg, and then our hypotenuse is 16. So you can start wherever, depending on what you have. So let's just find the short leg. So the short leg, which is x, equals, so our short leg is half of the hypotenuse, which is 16. So x is 8. Now we're going to find our long leg, and since we already know the short leg, so our long leg y, I'm going to use the formula long leg equals short leg times square root of 3. So my short leg is 8, and we multiply it by the square root of 3. So really there's no math to be done here unless it wanted to know, wanted you to round it to the nearest tenth. So if we want to do that, so the long leg is 8. This does equal 8 square root of 3, but let's see if they wanted, let's use our calculator. And when I toggle it, I get about 13.9. So you could say about 13.9. Okay, let's see what we have here. So our short leg is 7, our long leg is y, and our hypotenuse is x. So we know the short leg, so we can find the hypotenuse. You can go in whatever order you want. So my formula is short leg, which is 7, is equal to 1/2 times your hypotenuse, which is x. So we're going to divide by 1/2, and x. So when you're dividing by 1/2, it's really multiplying by the reciprocal. So our hypotenuse is 14. Now we want to get our long leg. So our long leg y, I want to use the short leg because we know it's 7 times the square root of 3. And again, if we wanted to round to a decimal, 7 times the square root of 3, toggle it, and it gives me about 12.1. Okay, now we have a 45, 45, 90. So we have one leg that is x, the other leg is 9. Therefore, well, we already know what x equals because these are congruent. And then the hypotenuse is y. So we need to find the hypotenuse. So y equals my leg, which is 9 times the square root of 2. So this is our value, but if they want to know a decimal and round to the 10th, we get about 12.7. We have a leg of x, a leg y, and our hypotenuse is 12. So our hypotenuse 12, we can use, let's use leg. So I'll just start with x. X equals 1/2 times your hypotenuse times the square root of 2. So this gives me 6 square roots of 2. And decimal to the 10th. That gives me about 8.5. Therefore, y is going to be the same thing because they're congruent.